everybody. Welcome to today's live webinar. Thank you for joining us today. I hope you can hear me loud and clear. I'm Michela Fassi, Communication Manager at Milestone, and I'll be your moderator for today's webinar. Today we are here for our live webinar titled "The 3 Safety Factors in Tissue Processing." In this educational webinar, we will discuss the very important safety factors that may affect tissue processing and how to tackle them. Milestone has been in the field since 30 years. Our mission is to reduce patient anxiety by providing pathologists with technologies for same-day diagnostic results. And we are proud to offer innovative solutions in different fields, such as frozen sections, cytology, sample handling, tissue processing, macro-digital, tracking, and reagents. Before we start, I wish to inform you that Milestone organizes this type of webinars once a month, and you can follow us on our LinkedIn and Facebook pages or on our website to stay tuned. Now I just ask your attention for a few seconds. In this slide, you can see the basic functions of the Zoom platform through which we are broadcasting. The meeting controls are at the bottom of the page. They hide if you do not use them, and of course they reappear if you move your mouse on them. You can use the chat box to communicate with me in case you have any type of problem. And this webinar is intended to be interactive, so we encourage you to ask questions, and you can submit questions anytime during the webinar with the Q&A box. We will answer as many questions as possible at the end of this presentation. Now, a quick look at today's speakers. The speaker today is Andrea Di Croce, Application Specialist at Milestone. Andrea has graduated in Medical Biotechnology with a Master in Quality Assurance, and he's quite new in the Milestone family, but he has a great experience as a researcher in the oncology field. The presentation today will be recorded and will last about 45 minutes. Now I'll switch off my camera and take off my presentation so that Andrea could begin his presentation. So Andrea, you have the floor.
Thank you, Michela. Good morning and good afternoon, everyone. I am Andrea Di Croce, and I'm here to talk you about the 3 safety factors in tissue processing. But first of all, why safety? Because, as you well know, processing is composed by several steps, each of them potentially critical. There's a high risk of human error. For example, while preparing cassette, the sample A can be inserted in the cassette B, or reagent mismatch while changing tanks or reagent. There's the use of dangerous reagent, and some of them are really harmful for humans. And there's a high risk of inhaling toxic fumes during the tank cleaning or the replacement. Also, processing is fundamental and extremely important for the diagnostic process, because good processing leads to a good slide preparation and much more accurate diagnosis. So safety, because all of those features mentioned above, is mandatory. But what safety stands for? For safety is intended all the procedure put in place to guarantee high quality standards and a correct and fast diagnosis. These obviously lead to a patient reduction of anxiety that is exactly Milestone aim. So in order to achieve a high level of safety, operator, as you certainly know, must face several issues during processing, such as poor fixation due to wrong fixative timing, reagent mismatch. For example, while cleaning tanks, there could be a switch causing error during loading reagents. There could be technical problems due to machine malfunction or power failure due to current drop. There's the possibility to have a human error due to inattention or a cassette loss during transport, movement from grossing to processing step. Human error, as you well know, is always around the corner. So in order to overcome all these problems, Milestone put in place different strategies that we are going to see together during this webinar. So we have listed all the safety factors that we should guarantee during the processing phase in 3 groups. Now we are going to see and analyze all of them one by one. First area of interest that we are going to deal with is the safety of the specimen. In order to have a precise diagnosis, all tissue must be managed in safety way, paying attention to all processing steps in order not to ruin or damage it. In fact, as well known, errors and critical issues are always around the corner. So which are those troubles? We have grouped them in the following list. There could be a poor fixation that can damage tissue, leading to a bad slide preparation, like such as holes and difficult pickup during cutting phase and difficult diagnosis. There could be reagent contamination that also can affect specimen, causing trouble depending on which kind of contamination occurs, that can ruin irreversibly the tissue. There could be failure during run, and in this case, depend on the processing phase running, can occur different outcome or different problems. There could be a cassette loss and even human errors. As you well know, depending on the error, sample can be affected in different ways. So in order to overcome all these sorts of error, let's see which are the possible solutions adopted. There's the possibility to define temperature range in order to monitor temperature excursion during all process. There are sensors to monitor all phase. There are validated protocols and proven technology. Also, technical feature like splitted manifold and other interesting attributes that I'm going to show you soon. Also, there could be a specimen tracking in order to monitor specimen during each step of processing. So all these points have the specific purpose of preserving sample safety. Now, I'm going to show those features in detail. This is a screenshot of our system for monitoring temperature during processing. As you know, it's quite difficult to know what is happening in the processor during a run. Now, Milestone has fine-tuned an accurate system for tracking temperature in real time, phase after phase. As you see in the picture, there are 2 curves, cavity temperature and reagent temperature, in order to monitor each phase. Like the first is the holding phase, the second is the flushing, rinsing 1, rinsing 2, and so on with all processing phases. So operator can be 100% sure that each step follows the protocol set. Another recurring problem found in every laboratory is purity of the reagents. As you well know, using clean reagent is mandatory if you want to have a sample correctly processed. So Milestone put a particular sensor in his processor, a brand new model of alcoholic sensor that works with sonic travel time and allows to check purity before and after loading alcoholic reagent. If the purity doesn't reach the desired level, reagent is not loaded. So alcoholic sensor can also discriminate between reagent and inform operator if the reagent is going to be loaded is correct for the desired phase or not. This is not the only sensor in our processor. In order to minimize a human error, we have put a particular sensor that now I'm going to show you. You see in the picture, and it's behind the working area. This sensor notices the presence of the rack and inform operator if it's not properly loaded. As you know, operators are always busy in lab and could make a mistake, and a mistake also can occur during every step. So another problem that have been found during processing is the sample damage due to wrong heating processor, due to wrong heating in the processor. In our processor, inside the cavity, there are heating sensors that alert operator in case of specimen overheating. This significantly prevents specimen loss because, as you know, each specimen is unique. But there are not only technical solutions put in place for sample safety. As I told you before, every specimen is unique. So, Milestone application staff fine-tuned a specific protocols depending on the specimen feature, such as the thickness and the fat content. Those protocols are validated on human tissue in collaboration with pathology labs. And those labs, during validation process, perform processing, immune staining, and molecular biology in order to compare and validate the results, always having in mind sample safety during all process. This clearly show that our technology, protocol, and processor together are designed for specimen safety. The great number of scientific publications and the thousands of installations worldwide support this claim. And another example of solution, technical solution, put in place for enhanced sample safety is the splitted manifold. So now, how many of you had the reagent contamination problems? I guess many. This innovative solution avoids reagent contamination thanks to a different path for different family of reagents. Milestone created two different circuits, one for alcoholic and one for water-based reagent. These enhance the purity, the length of reagent's life, and there's a better outcome in processing. Another big problem during processing, as you know, is the unattended process during weekend or maybe night time. Milestone processor constantly monitor specimen condition and automatically take care of them if a problem occurs, even if operator is not present right in front of the device. For example, in case of delayed reagent loading, in the safety procedure shown in the picture, there's the explain step by step for the operator for a sample safe recovery. And if operator is not present after 20 minutes, the processor manage the sample safety by itself. There's the possibility, it depends on which kind of problem occurs. Here we have a list of 5 safety procedures that occurs if there's some problem with the processor. Another problem often occurs in lab during reagent replacement is the reagent mismatch. Because of that, we develop a system for reagent management. I'm going to show you in the drawer here. We use, first of all, commercial tanks. As you can see, can work. Our processor can work with commercial tanks, and this allows an easier replacement. Second, we have adapters here. This is a cone adapter that facilitates replacement in a fast and safe way. And third, the barcode scanner that I'm going to show you now, this one. This allows minimize the possibility of tank mismatch and allows a proper tracking of the reagents. Last, just a second, I'm adjusting the camera. Okay. Last, but very important, I'm adjusting, okay. Last, but very important, there is no reagent contamination because there's no need of tank cleaning. Using a commercial tank is just a simple tank replacement, so no need of cleaning tanks. Another big problem found in the lab is the specimen tracking. How many times some samples disappear? I know for sure too many. Milestone introduced a fully tracking system that allows a continuous monitoring of sample and the possibility to retrieve a single specimen before, during, and after the processing. In case of any trouble, person on duty will be instantly notified of the issues. So now it's time for me to introduce the second safety factor during processing: the safety of the operator during processing. As you know, operators are always exposed to reagents, and most of the time those are not green reagent, but potentially toxic and harmful. So let's see in detail how operator can be preserved from those dangers. So the processing phase usually requires the use of dangerous and toxic reagents that can cause problems and potential harm to operators, especially because operators must handle this reagent almost every day during the working shift. So fumes and ingestion can cause potential damage and harm. And every lab definitely needs to implement solutions to improve the operator's safety. So in order to overcome that problem, our processors are designed to work with traditional reagents, xylene and formaldehyde, and green reagents too. So Milestone solution is replace xylene and formalin-based reagent with alcohol-based and isoparaffin reagents that are much safer. This is for minimize dangerous fume exposure for the operators. But this isn't the only solution put in place by Milestone. In fact, there are several innovations that minimize the exposure, such as vented area drawer. This drawer is vented. the working area is vented and there's a shield that prevents the inhalation of toxic fumes. There are two big filters built in, and as I told you before, there are the commercial tanks that minimize the exposure to toxic fumes. That are the solution put in place for minimize and safe operator health. So once preserved operator safety, it's time for us to talk about the last safety factor in tissue processing. That is the patient safety, maybe the most important factor, because as I told you before, every specimen is unique and not reproducible. So now I am going to show you the Milestone solution for enhanced patient safety. But first, which are the problems that can affect patient safety? Several issues can occur from the patient point of view. As I told you before, specimen losses, ID mismatch, for example, there could be a cassette switch during grossing or damaged specimen. This could be due to not proper processing or wrong handle of sample. This can damage the patient. There could be technical issue, and all those problems affect the diagnostic accuracy in different ways. But the only result is not a proper diagnosis that, of course, has a negative effect on the patient. So in our processor, several solutions are put in place in order to reduce error in processing. Nowadays, the tendency is to have an organized workflow, different path for different specimens. Biopsies, transplant, fatty tissue has different processing time and different loading routine. So the possibility to have a lean process allow a better organized workflow, faster response, and a significant reduction of the turnaround time. Our processors are designed for continuous process, so no wax movement means no cavity cleaning cycles. So no bottlenecks means no downtime and more productivity. All these innovative features allows to flatten the curve, the green one, of the workload, allows a better organized workflow, and the result is a significant reduction of the turnaround time with the possibility of a same-day diagnosis. The last but not least feature regarding patient safety is traceability. That is a great value for every lab. As you well know, each specimen is unique and unrepeatable. Therefore, a mistake can cause harm to the patient. So if not properly tracked, there's a high risk of losing specimen or having mismatch between specimen and documents. So nowadays, traceability is really a key factor to patient safety for monitoring and tracking the specimen. So Milestone, in order to enhance traceability, designed a device having in mind patient safety, that is the art tracker, that now I am going to show in detail. That's an automatic scanner that provide 3-in-1 operation: scan, check, and track all the sample. Now I'm going to show you how this works. So the operator just have to put the rack on the plate with the cassette, with the ID of the sample. Just put and start the run. The yard tracker managed to scan, check, and track all the cassette in 15 seconds. This is a fast operation. It's simple and it's automatic. Just a second that I'm adjusting the camera. Okay. Okay. So the scanning operation, I was talking, oh, just a second. I readjusting the camera. Beautiful of the direct. Okay. I was telling you that the scanning is a fast operation. It's simple and automatic. In this way, the operator doesn't have to manually scan the cassette one by one. So there's save a great amount of time. Accurate documentation is generated at the end of the process. And there's the possibility for operator to have 2 levels of control on the cassette, before and after processing, like a check station. What I mean, the operator just have to scan the first time on the art tracker the rack with the cassettes, put the rack on the processor and wait till the end of the processing. After that, we will come back on the art tracker and start the comparison in order to see and to check if there are any loss of the cassette. So there's a 2 level of control. Also, documentation is sent to Milewatch, that is our tracking system, tracking software that I'm going to show you now. So in order to intercept and avoid the above errors and to improve specimen traceability, Milestone has developed the Milewatch software that tracks the specimen data along all the steps of the specimen journey, from the collection to the pathology microscope. So operator can monitor the unit status, the performance, or download report in real time. And finally, with the search function, it's very easy for the operator, the person on duty, the pathologist, to retrieve all the information related to a single case or case ID and have the complete history of the specimen journey. In particular, it's possible to have the complete traceability during all the processing phases. It's possible to view in real time how many cassettes are in the processing phase in our processor. Operator can see the processing parameters for each process phase, such as time, temperature, pressure, and also the detail of the reagent used, maybe the expiration. Also, it's possible to search for a specific cassette by looking for its case number. And in the end, Milewatch enabled to detect bottlenecks and maximize the efficiency of tissue processing, thus improving productivity in the laboratory and ensuring patient safety. So all features mentioned above are fully compatible with our processing solution, that are our Logos Evo and our Magnus, our game changer for the lab of the future. So in the end, we have identified 3 macro areas, each of them with different critical points and issues. We analyzed and proposed you possible solution for specimen safety, like controlled fixation or smart reagent management and safety procedures. for the operator, like commercial tanks, green reagent and fixative, safe working area, filter built in, and for patient, the tracking of the sample that is really important, and an improvement of the workflow for the same-day diagnosis. So Milestone makes an effort in order to overcome and simplify in a safe way all this problem with technical innovation. And I hope that my presentation have been clear and useful for you, and don't hesitate to ask me your question. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrea, for your nice explanation. Now it's time for question and answers. So I have already collected some questions. Meanwhile, if any participant has other questions, please type them in the Q&A box. So I'm going to read them to Andrea. So Andrea, first question for you. How much time does it take to run a protocol in your processor?
Well, it depends. It depends on the characteristic of the specimen, because if you have biopsy, small biopsy, we have protocols that last 45 minutes, including fixation. For bigger specimen, we have like 5 millimeter thick. We have 13 hours process protocol. Also, we have for fatty tissue customized protocols that are about 14 hours using hybrid technology. So you can run your samples during the night, so without hurry. Although you can work with a continuous flow during the day with small biopsy or small specimen.
Okay, let's move to another question about the R tracker. What happens if an error occurs in the R tracker? And also related to the R tracker, there is another question about the cassette. If the cassettes are wet in formol or formalin, what happens? So maybe you can answer to both the questions.
Okay. Thank you for the questions. And these give me the possibility to show you how what happened when a error occurs. So first of all, there's if the cassettes are covered with formol, is just a good practice to wipe them with a towel, just a short wipe, and load on the R tracker. By the way, if there is any problem, I'm simulate the problem now. So I'm turning upside down the cassette, so I don't. There will be another ID not readable. So I start the run, and in 15 seconds, the R tracker managed to scan and track all the samples. And now I have a problem. So there's one cassette that's not readable. So this is the answer. And I can locate the cassette. If I locate it, the R tracker tells me where the cassette is in order to identify it. So under the blinking light, the blinking laser, there's my cassette without turned upside down.
Okay, thank you again. Let's move to another question. Can you explain again which kind of filters are there in your device and how long do they last?
Yeah, sure. We have two filters in our units, two charcoal filters that are built in for the Magnus, and there are optional for the Logos Evo. But there's the possibility to connect all the devices with the laboratory film extraction system. So in order to work in a safe way for the operators.
Okay, let's move to another question about the splitted manifold. What's the difference from the standard circuit?
Okay, there's a difference because with the split manifold, we have two circuits. One for alcoholic-based reagent. The other one is for water-based reagent. And this leads to an improvement, because if there's a problem with a valve, maybe that there's a breakage of the valve or a leakage of that, there's no contamination. There's also no cross-contamination because the reagent have two different paths. So there's no problem of tank contamination.
Okay, now I'm gonna move to another question. Is it possible to use reagents from other manufacturers in your processors?
Yes, yes, for sure. We use, as I showed you before, we use commercial tanks. So there's also this cone cap that allows a simple replacement. And we have many customers that use other reagent, also always in commercial tanks, but not Milestone reagents. So there's no problem. There's no any sort of problem.
Perfect. I think that this could be the last question because we're running out of time. How many blocks can the processor carry at a time?
Okay, I'm going to show you some racks that are useful for processing. Here we have our different racks, and we can our processor can manage many cassettes. It depends on the needs, because we have the random basket rack that holds 300 cassettes. We have the split rack with layer that, as you see, are organized. This allows a better circulation of the reagents, so a better processing. Sorry. We have a super mega cassette that is 25 cassettes, and the super mega slim that is 48 cassettes. We also have the synergy rack that is for auto embedding directly in the processor, and this is for 45 cassettes. And so it depends on laboratory needs. So sorry, the beautiful of direct always. So this is how many cassette can handle. Obviously, if you manage to work with Magnus or Logos Evo in dual mode, you can use 2 racks, so double number of cassettes at the same time.
Thank you, Andrea. We have actually some other questions, but time is running out. So I think that for the last questions, we will answer via email to the participants. Actually, there was also a question about the synergy auto embedding, which is which needs a quite a detailed explanation. So for the synergy, but also any other detail you need to know, please request your customized virtual demo to us. Our application specialists will be very happy to have a virtual demo dedicated to you and your need, so you can see our contacts here. Also, please save date for next educational webinar. It will be on the 29th of November, and the topic is the challenge, the grossing descriptions. Registrations will open very soon, so you can save the date. Tomorrow you will receive an email with the recording of this webinar. And that's it. We thank everybody for watching and participating to this webinar, and we hope to see you all next time. Thank you. Bye-bye.